Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. I'm Reed Price. I'm the director of the center, and I'm here today with Leanne Risto, who will be talking to us about her work directing the food bank at Helpline. Before we get to that, though, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring Something to Talk About. Fieldstone offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care. They're located up on Rolling Bay. They have day stay and respite care programs. And if you'd like to learn more, take a tour, enjoy a meal on them, call Randy or Jamie, and they'll set you up. They'll give you a look around, a look-see. 206-594-1010 is the number to call, or go to their website, fieldstonecommunities.com. Also, we'd like to acknowledge that we are living and meeting on the ancestral homeland of the Suquamish people, the people of the clear salt water, who have lived on the shores of the Salish Sea since time immemorial. We are learning from them how to be better stewards of these lands and waters. Leanne, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us today. I appreciate it. You've just gone through a big transition at Helpline because you're in the process of construction of a new, more more commodious facility, but right now you're in temporary digs, right?
Yes, that is correct. We are in temporary location for about probably a year, perhaps a little bit more. Everyone I feel like is getting really settled in, and our clients are finding us, and things seem to be going really smoothly, really well.
Well, that's great. So where are you located? And I understand you also changed some of the hours of the food bank when you did move.
Yeah, we are located at 901 Hildebrand Lane. So right across the street from Sister Cider House. We are opened Tuesday through Friday for shopping. We are closed on Monday, and the change is that we previously were closed on Wednesday. And the main reason that we made the change is because it actually ends up being fewer closed days for clients, because many holidays that we are closed for end up being on Monday. So by being closed for shopping on Monday, it actually provides more shopping days for
Yeah,
people.
it does. It
Yeah.
does mean that you have fewer days to regroup, though.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
So that's the location is where the old Union Bank used to be. It's also if you're coming up from Erickson, it's just as you turn that sharp corner.
That is correct. And one thing that's been really fortuitous about this building is the old bank drive-through. It's a great place now for donations to be dropped off. So that actually has been a really nice, I think, improvement. It's just a easier, cleaner way for people to drive up, and there's tables right outside, and for people to drop off donations. Good.
So, how are you coping with the change in terms of clientele? You mentioned to me before we started that you've been seeing some new shoppers.
We
Uh,
have been seeing more shoppers and new shoppers for sure. And it's good. It's I think it's working well. I feel like people are I'm not sure if perhaps the the new location has contributed to the increase that we're seeing in shoppers since we moved. We actually over the past year have seen just a real dramatic increase in the number of shoppers in general, but the move seems to have additionally increase that. But I feel like people are getting good shops, so people are going out with full carts, so that's good.
we have talked to other colleagues of yours at Helpline about the variety of programs and services that Helpline offers beyond a food bank, but the food bank is definitely a key part of the services that Helpline offers. Can you tell us a little bit about the scope of what you do and the need for food support here on Bainbridge?
Yeah, well, we're definitely seeing a real increased need. The number of households we're serving has doubled since I've started. I've been at Helpline House a little over 3 years, And in that time, we have doubled the amount of households that we serve. There is, I think, sometimes an idea that there isn't need on Helpline House or poverty. I mean, on Bainbridge, sorry. There isn't poverty on Bainbridge Island, and that's not true. There are a lot of people on Bainbridge who live in their cars. There are a lot of people who live on boats without electricity. Um, and there are a lot of people working in our community that we see every day working in the service industry who need help buying their groceries and paying for their groceries, and they're coming to Helpline House.
Yeah,
Um,
I would also add that there are people who take advantage of the senior community center who are seniors on low income who are
mhm,
having in many months having a hard time to make it through and appreciate shopping at Helpline as well.
that's very true. We have a large number of senior citizens, a lot of people on fixed incomes who need help because it is expensive to live on Bainbridge. And a lot of people have seen the prices who lived here for a long time have seen prices go up and up around them, but their income hasn't increased. And so, yes, we serve a lot of seniors. We serve a lot of people who live on Bainbridge who live on perhaps Social Security or disability. And so there's definitely need here. And so we've seen a definite increase in the number of people coming to Helpline. There's an increase in security, a sense of insecurity, and the sense of fear over some of the proposed changes that have been made um, by
Federally,
our administration.
yeah. Can you say a little bit more about some of the programs that you do rely on from the federal government that either are in
Mhm.
transition or you are concerned might be?
Well, two that we know are in transition are the local food purchases, which was a program that was actually facilitated by the county, but I think relied on primarily on federal dollars. And that was a program that got about $100,000 a year that was shared among, and it was used to purchase foods from local producers. So local farmers of produce, some people who raised livestock, even some dairy farmers. And that food was that those funds were used to purchase directly from local producers and then distributed to food banks. And that program, well, they still have what is left of the current year's funds, that money is no longer going to be available in the next fiscal year, which I think is headed toward us pretty quickly. Um, and that's a double whammy for Helpline House because there are people on Bainbridge Island who are producers who received income from that program because they grew produce or raised animals, which were then sold to the local food purchasing program. And so they are losing that revenue, and we are losing a food supply. And whenever people on Bainbridge have hard times, they do turn to Helpline House. Um, so it kind of hits us two ways. There will be increased need and we'll have fewer resources. The other program is the commodities program, and that is a government funded federal program where the government creates contracts with producers. And if you can think of anything in the country that is produced locally or produced in the United States, there's probably a commodities program, and it helps producers by by purchasing food from them that perhaps they couldn't sell otherwise. And then it's distributed to food banks. So, an example of that in Washington is that Washington produces a lot of cranberries. And so we've pretty reliably received through commodities dried cranberries that we can then distribute to our clients. So we've seen about 40% reduction in those items, and it's unfortunately been more expensive, high from our perspective, higher value items like frozen chicken breasts, frozen chicken legs, Dried cranberries is one thing, fresh milk, fresh eggs, things that are harder for us to get and more expensive for people to buy at the stores. And so that's been a big hit for us, the loss of the commodities meat. We actually only get meat donated from one local store, and that grocery store's donations to us and the commodities program have been our primary sources of meat that we can distribute to clients. Outside of that, we have to purchase it at Costco usually, or so on the commercial market, we don't get a special discount really from anywhere, or sometimes we'll make a big, large pallet purchase of meat. But it's a great expense. So for us to lose that donated resource from commodities program is a big loss.
Yeah, that's got to be a problem for you and for all people who help food insecurity in the whole country.
Yeah.
I know that we have a very generous group of volunteers in our community. I know a lot of folks who volunteer through Helpline to help with all kinds of things to make your operation run. And do you also rely a lot on people either donating through the grocery stores or directly to you to help with making those purchases?
Yes. We are very, very fortunate that we live in such a generous community. Helpline is powered by donations from our community. And especially, I would say right now, we are having so many local growers and gardeners and producers step up and really come through for us. And just whether it's somebody with a nonprofit like Gifts of Dirt or Peaceful Morning Farm that is growing large quantities for us, or just someone, a backyard gardener who's planting a row for us. I've been really so amazed at the generosity of these programs and the people who are coming through for us locally. We do, when the community comes through for a food drive, like usually for Sakai, the Sakai food drive that school does, that we'll get 30,000 pounds of food, which sounds like a lot of food, but we can distribute at Helpline House usually about, a minimum of about 60,000 pounds of food a month. So that is the amount of food that we distribute usually. Slightly less right now because our porch pantry isn't up and running yet, but we do, I know we feed a lot of people and we distribute a lot of food. And so it's been really heartening to be able to continue to see people leaving the food bank with full carts and multiple bags of groceries.
That's great. So, Leanne, if somebody, we did talk with the Veg Club a little while ago about their support of planting a row and helping people. Is it obviously if I think obviously all donations are welcome. I think that there are probably some things that are more needed regularly than others. And if you can share some of those things that are harder for you to acquire and whether it's easier for people to try to donate those items or whether it's better for you to have direct dollar donations that you can then turn around and spend.
Well, both are extremely extremely appreciated. And the things that are the hardest for us to receive or to acquire are like things for our fresh, like fresh dairy, eggs, milk, cheese, meat, and what there's a family. This is just an example of how creative and wonderful our community is. There's a family on the island that has a monthly subscription to Smith Brothers Milk, and it's delivered to us. They manage this subscription. It's probably like 10 gallons of milk are delivered here every week. And that is the best, nicest milk that our clients ever get. It doesn't stretch to everybody, but those kind of donations are amazing. Anyone who wanted to go to the store and, you know, buy a buy some eggs, buy some cheese, and drop it off here, we would be very, very appreciative. Those are the sort of the, cheese especially, we almost never get that. Those are the sort of gold star donations. And to, to somebody writing checks are cash donations, check donations, uh, gift cards to Safeway, gift cards to TNC are wonderful. The things that we can do with those are when someone comes to us and they have a very specific diet requirement that we are going to have a hard time helping them meet. We can give them one of those cards and they can go get the things that they need for themselves. We also can use those cards when we are in a shortage of something. I can take Safeway gift cards and go to Safeway and buy eggs that we can then have in our food bank. Eggs are very hard for me to get right now. We rely solely on grocery store donations. I haven't been able to buy eggs in quantity since the bird flu epidemic because the stores weren't getting enough for themselves um, to be able to sell me, 8 cases of eggs. And even I wasn't even able to order them from Costco. So anyone who wanted to go buy eggs and drop them off here, that would be very appreciated. But also, donations of cash that are designated for the food bank, those can be used to help us purchase meat. And yeah, the flexibility that is in those things is greatly appreciated.
Okay, and then on the reverse, are there some things that are harder for you to distribute that might be that you might say, well, even if you like those at your dinner table, maybe you give us some other product or
Well, I will say the thing that we get absolutely the most of in it is also because the government likes to give it to us and they like to, and they, it's one thing that hasn't been canceled for some reason is cream of mushroom soup.
well,
We
that's
have,
what that I lived on casseroles from cream of mushroom soup my whole life growing up. My mother loved to do that. But you
yeah,
have plenty of cream of mushroom
we have
soup.
plenty of cream of mushroom soup. But in general, I would say that across the board, all foods are appreciated. And if you appreciate it at your home, there are people in our food bank who appreciate it. Um, I have two things to say, and there are things we cannot distribute. We cannot distribute anything that has alcohol in it, or even if it just has anything to do with alcohol on the label. So, a can of bourbon baked beans, we would not be able to put in our food bank. And those things like that do show up in when we do big food drives. And unfortunately, we can't put it in the food bank, and those things end up being given to a volunteer to take home. Um, we can't distribute bottles of alcohol, which sometimes, believe it or not, end up being donated to the food bank. Um, we also, unfortunately, and this one just breaks my heart whenever it happens, we cannot distribute homemade foods and homemade preserves. So if you made homemade jam, and I know put tons of love in it and it's amazing, we can't distribute it unless everything we distribute must be packaged and processed in a commercial kitchen. Just like if we have the same food codes and food rules that any grocery store would have. So like fish that you caught yourself that morning and then wanted to donate to the Helpline House, we would not be able to distribute because it wasn't caught and processed in a state certified facility. We can't distribute the homemade jam. We can't distribute things that are open. So if you bought like a bag of rice and took it home and tried it and then decided that you didn't like that particular kind, we could not then distribute it in the food bank because it's been opened. unfortunately. So those are the only really things I would ask people to try to find another home for besides us.
Great. And if you are planting a row, if you are getting more zucchini,
Mhm.
then what's the best advice for in terms of the right time to drop it off and etc.?
Oh, well, earlier in the week is better because that gives us the most shopping days. So the most people can have the opportunity to have some before we're close to the weekend. And we do have a refrigerated facility, refrigerated storage. So we do save things over the weekend. But just as far as like for things being in their freshest, we would suggest donating earlier in the week and earlier in the day, just so that we have more time to give people the opportunity to have some. Um, we we accept donations. We are open from 10 to 4, and we pretty much accept donations from 9:30 to 4 p.m. And we accept donations 5 days a week, even though we are not open. The food bank is not open on Monday. We do accept donations on Monday,
Except holidays.
except holidays. Yes.
And the other thing that I think I know is that the food bank observes when we get inclement weather, not this time of year, but you observe when the schools are open, that's when you are open, right?
That is correct. So if the school is closed, well, we are closed on most school holidays, not all. So I would say it is good to check and make sure we are actually closed um, before deciding not to come. But we do close when there is inclement weather, or if the school decides that it needs to close for any particular reason that day, a power outage, for instance, that isn't resolvable, we would also be closed.
And before we go, I know that during school vacations, you do offer support for kids who might have been dependent on school lunches and other.
We do. It's our kid pantry program. We've been serving about 85 children a week with this program, and I think it's great. I'm really proud of it. We do it in partnership with Rotary, and it is a big bag of food for each child. It has 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches. It has a big bag of snacks. It has a big bag of fresh produce, and it has usually 1 or 2 bonus items in it. And so yeah, it's a great bag, and the bonus item can be anything from like a bag of pistachios to a box of cookies. So it can be and they're really good bags.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to mention before we finish up here?
I just really want to extend gratitude to the community because they, for I've really been made aware recently of how much support and love there is for well, not even so much for Helpline House, but just for the community. It's really heartening to see so many people um, come forward for their neighbors, and it's really been lovely.
Yeah, I appreciate Helpline House, and I know that we're all in this together. And
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that you're experiencing that love there too. Thank you very much for the time, Leanne Risto, and we will keep in touch. Let me know if there's anything else you want to share sometime. We do these podcasts all the time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.